Have you ever looked at a woman, maybe a friend, a coworker, or that one girl who always seems a little too flirty, too jumpy, or too emotionally charged, and wondered, is she going through a dry spell? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the subtle, unspoken psychological signs that a woman hasn't had sex in a long time, signs that most men never notice, but you're about to see them crystal clear. And the fascinating part? These signs aren't just sexual. They're emotional, behavioral, psychological, the kind that leak out without her even realizing it. From the way she talks, to the way she moves, to the way she reacts when you stand just an inch too close. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to read the subtle cues of a woman who's been running on empty in the romance department. My name is Amelia, and welcome to Dark Psychology, where we decode the hidden motives, silent emotions, and secret desires behind human behavior. Let's get started. 1. Frequent topics of sex in conversation. Picture this. You're chatting with a lady friend, and suddenly the conversation takes a steamy turn. She starts bringing up sexual topics more often than a horny teenager at a sleepover. Now, before you go thinking she's just a naughty girl, consider this. She might just be a little sex-starved. When a woman hasn't had her itch scratched in a while, sex tends to be on her mind more than usual. It's like her brain is a broken record stuck on the Bo Chicka Wow Wow track. She might start slipping in sexual references, asking about your dating life, or even sharing her own spicy stories, ones she usually keeps locked away. But here's the deeper psychological twist. When someone lacks intimacy, the brain compensates by fantasizing, talking, joking, and hinting about what's missing. It's a coping mechanism, a way to feel connected to something she's not currently experiencing. She isn't always trying to seduce you. Sometimes she's just trying to feel alive again. But fellas, and this is important, just because she mentions sex doesn't mean she wants you to leap across the room like some hormonal superhero. Read the room. Feel her energy, watch her body language, and if you're ever unsure, ask. Clear, honest communication can save you from an awkward misunderstanding, or even make the moment deeper and more meaningful. 2. More open about desires. All right, guys, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Sexual desires. We all have them, but some people keep them locked up tighter than a diary with a broken heart inside. But when a woman hasn't had her desires fulfilled in a while, all bets are off. If you've noticed your lady friend becoming unusually open about her sexual fantasies or deepest, darkest desires, it might be a sign she's been running on empty in the bedroom. It's like the dam has burst, and all her pent-up sexual energy is flooding out in a torrent of too much information. But here's where the psychological depth kicks in. When we're deprived of intimacy, our brain craves release, not just physical, but emotional. Talking about fantasies becomes a substitute for experiencing them. It gives her a hit of dopamine, a little spark, just enough to keep the loneliness at bay. So how do you navigate this tricky terrain? Easy. Listen. Be respectful. Don't make assumptions. If she's opening up to you about her desires, it means she trusts you. That is a privilege, not an invitation to pounce. Honor that trust by being a good friend and a respectful confidant. And who knows? If the stars align, if the chemistry is right, if the tension becomes undeniable, maybe you get to be the lucky guy who helps her turn those fantasies into reality. But remember, her comfort sets the pace. 3. Heightened physical touch. Listen up, fellas, because we're about to explore the power of touch. We all know physical contact can be powerful. But when a woman hasn't had her fill of intimate touch in a while, it's like she's a touch-starved puppy, eager for any scrap of affection. If you've noticed she's suddenly brushing up against you, lingering in hugs longer than usual, or even getting a little handsy, it might be a sign she's going through a serious dry spell. She might find excuses like, "Oops, sorry," when her hand touches yours, leaning into you when she laughs, resting her head on your shoulder, standing closer than she usually does. These aren't accidents. These are micro-cravings for connection. Tiny doses of warmth her body has been missing. But before you think this is your green light to get grabby, slow down. Just because she's craving physical contact doesn't mean she wants you to paw her like a horny teenager. Consent is everything. So how do you handle this touchy-feely terrain? Simple. Be respectful. Be attentive. Let her take the lead. If she initiates, she's comfortable. Honor her comfort by being a gentleman. And if things start heating up, make sure you're both on the same page before taking things further. Because in the world of physical intimacy, communication isn't optional. It's survival. 4. Increased flirtation. All right, it's time to talk about the art of flirtation. A little playful banter can ignite chemistry, spark curiosity, and send shivers right down the spine. But when a woman hasn't had her flirting fix in a while, it's like she's a heat-seeking missile locked onto any target that moves. If you've noticed she's laying on the charm extra thick lately, complimenting you more, dropping innuendos, getting bold with her jokes, it might be a sign she's running low on romantic attention. But here's the twist. Flirting doesn't always mean she wants to jump into bed with you. Sometimes she just wants a confidence boost, a little emotional spark, a reminder that she's still wanted, a safe place to playfully express her feminine energy. So how do you navigate this flirty frenzy? Flirt back, but keep it light and respectful. If she's enjoying the banter, play along, have fun with it. Match her tone, not overpower it. And if things get a little too spicy, pump the brakes, shift the vibe, keep the space safe and comfortable. Flirting is a two-way street, and the goal is for both people to enjoy the ride. 5. Nervousness around intimacy. Topics. Listen up, because we're about to dive into the world of awkward intimacy, a place where desire and discomfort collide. We all know talking about sex and relationships can be a little uncomfortable sometimes. But when a woman hasn't had her intimate needs met in a while, it's like she turns into a blushing schoolgirl, giggling, fidgeting, stumbling over her words at the mere mention of the deed. If you've noticed your lady friend getting flustered when sex comes up, laughing awkwardly, changing the subject too quickly, or even getting defensive when you gently poke the topic, it might be a sign she's going through a dry spell. Here's the dark psychological truth. When someone is deprived of intimacy, the mind becomes hypersensitive to the topic. It becomes emotionally loaded, sometimes even overwhelming. She wants it, yes, but talking about it reminds her she hasn't had it. That contrast creates tension. But before you start playing therapist, pump the brakes. Her nervousness isn't an invitation to pry or push. It's a boundary, fragile and personal. So how do you handle it? Be patient. Be understanding. Don't make a big deal out of it. Your job isn't to fix her. Your job is to create a space where she feels safe to open up, at her pace, not yours. If she shares, listen with an open heart. And remember, intimacy is a journey, not a destination. At 6, overly invested in romantic media. All right, guys, let's talk about the power of a good love story. We all know romance can be an escape, a doorway into what we crave but don't currently have. But when a woman hasn't had her own romantic storyline in a while, she becomes a romance addict, devouring every steamy scene, swooning over every cliché, analyzing fictional relationships like she's prepping for a PhD in love. If you've noticed she's unusually invested in romantic movies, books, or TV shows, if she's talking about fictional couples like they're real, if she's comparing her own love life, or lack of one, to the perfect relationships on screen, it might be a sign she's running low on real-life romance. Psychologically, this happens because when the heart is starving, fantasy becomes nourishment. She isn't just watching romance, she's feeling it, borrowing the emotions she's not experiencing in reality. So how do you handle her romantic media obsession? Easy, join in, but don't overthink it. Watch with her, laugh with her, cry with her, let her have her escape. But also remember, fiction isn't an invitation, it's just therapy. If she wants your attention romantically, she'll show it in her real-life behavior, not just her Netflix choices. 7. Making jokes about her sex life. Listen up, fellas, because now we're stepping into the world of self-deprecating humor. We all know laughter can soften pain, mask insecurity, or deflect truth. And when a woman hasn't had her sexual needs met in a while, suddenly she becomes a stand-up comedian, joking about her vibrator being her loyal boyfriend, cobwebs forming down there, her bed being a crime scene of loneliness, or just roasting her own sexual frustration. These jokes aren't random. They're coping mechanisms, humor wrapped around hunger. But here's the psychological twist. People joke about what bothers them the most. When she laughs about her dry spell, she's telling you the truth without admitting the vulnerability behind it. But before you think this is your cue to volunteer as tribute, slow your roll, Casanova. Just because she jokes about her sex life doesn't mean she wants you to fix it. She might just be breaking the tension, trying to feel less alone, or making you comfortable enough to talk openly. So how do you handle it? Laugh along, but don't cross the line. Enjoy the banter. Match her wit. Keep it fun, light, and respectful. Remember, laughter is medicine, but it is not a permission slip. 8. Seeking validation about attractiveness. All right, guys, it's time to talk about the power of a compliment. We all know flattery feels good, but when a woman hasn't had her ego stroked in a while, she becomes a validation vampire, quietly thirsty for reassurance but too proud to say it directly. If you've noticed your lady friend fishing for compliments more often, asking questions like, "How does this outfit look? Do you think I've gained weight? Be honest, do you find me attractive?" Then, yeah, she might be running low on sexual validation. Psychologically, when intimacy fades, self-esteem often follows. She starts questioning, am I still desirable? Do people still see me? Am I losing something? So she seeks reassurance, not for attention, but for grounding. But here's where men mess up. They start laying it on too thick. Cheesy pickup lines, over-the-top compliments, cringe-level flattery, pump the brakes. She doesn't want to feel objectified. She wants to feel seen. So how do you handle this behavior? Be real, be genuine, be thoughtful. Compliment her personality, her energy, her presence, not just her looks. And if she spirals too hard into appearance insecurity, gently remind her, she's more than a pretty face. She's a whole person with depth, value, and fire. That's the compliment that actually sticks. 9. Visible frustration or irritability. Listen up, because now we're entering the world of sexual frustration, and trust me, this is where things get intense. We all know going without physical intimacy can put anyone in a mood, but when a woman hasn't had her needs met in a long time, she becomes a ticking time bomb. If you've noticed, she's snapping over minor things, getting impatient easily, acting more irritable than usual, seeming tense or emotionally on edge, it might be a sign she's deep in a dry spell. Here's the deeper psychology behind it. Sex relieves stress. Sex releases oxytocin. Sex stabilizes mood. Without it, her body is fighting a quiet internal battle. Hormones fluctuate. Stress peaks. Emotional tolerance drops. Everything feels 10 times heavier. But before you swoop in like some magical stress relief superhero, slow down, Hercules. Her irritability doesn't mean she wants you to fix her with your iCal penis powers. And yes, my viewers will laugh hard at that line. She might not even realize her frustration is rooted in lack of intimacy. She just knows something feels off. So how do you handle it? Be patient. Be compassionate. Don't take it personally. Give her space when she needs it. Offer a listening ear, not solutions. Suggest stress-relieving activities that don't involve undressing. Sexual frustration is real, but it's not your job to magically cure it. 10. Intense reactions to physical contact. All right, guys, now we're getting into the psychology of touch, one of the most powerful emotional triggers on the planet. When a woman hasn't had physical affection in a long time, even the slightest contact hits like electricity. If you've noticed, she reacts strongly to small touches. Goosebumps. A sharp inhale. Leaning into hugs. Freezing for a split second. Getting flustered when you sit close. Eyes dilating when your hands brush. Yeah. She's not just touch-starved, she's touch-sensitive. Her body is craving warmth, closeness, connection. And when she gets even a taste of it, her nervous system lights up like a Christmas tree. But, and this is crucial, this is not a pass to push further. So how do you handle her intense reactions? Be respectful. Be calm, be attentive. Let her take the lead with physical contact. Mirror her pace, don't accelerate it. If she leans in, you can reciprocate gently. If she relaxes, maintain the comfort. And if things start getting a little too heated, pause, check in, get enthusiastic consent. Because intense reactions mean her emotions are heightened, and that requires extra care. 11. More willing to take risks. Listen up, fellas, because we're about to explore the world of sexual risk-taking. And this is where things get wild. We all know going without physical intimacy for too long can make anyone crave a little excitement. But when a woman hasn't had her needs met in a while, she becomes a thrill seeker. Not reckless, but definitely more daring than her usual self. If you've noticed she's suddenly flirting with strangers, entertaining guys she normally wouldn't, suggesting bold date ideas, showing more curiosity about adventurous sexual activities, taking risks that make you raise an eyebrow. Yeah, she might be going through a dry spell. Psychologically, deprivation creates a craving for novelty. The brain starts chasing stimulation, any stimulation, to replace what's been missing. It's not desperation, it's biology calling out for balance. But here's where you come in. Be supportive, but be her voice of reason. If she suggests something unsafe, gently step in. If she pushes boundaries that feel out of character, help her slow down. If she seems like she's spiraling toward impulsive decisions, guide her back to center. You're not there to police her, you're there to protect her. Because sometimes the strongest sign of affection is helping someone not go too far. 12. Use of sexual innuendo. All right, guys, it's time to talk about the art of the double entendre. The subtle, and not so subtle, nudge-nudge, wink-wink language of the sexually deprived. We all know a little wordplay can heat up the air, but when a woman hasn't had her needs met in a while, she becomes a master of innuendo. She'll make suggestive comments about everyday objects, use words with not-so-innocent double meanings, crack jokes that toe the line between flirty and filthy, and she'll do it with a sparkle in her eye, like she's testing the water to see how warm things could get. But here's the deeper psychological layer. Sexual innuendo provides a safe distance. She gets to express desire without actually committing to anything. It's flirting with plausible deniability. So how should you respond? Play along, but keep it classy. No graphic replies, no creepy escalation, no jumping into X-rated territory. Match her tone. Light, clever, flirty, respectful. Remember, innuendo is foreplay for the mind. It builds intrigue, tension, and emotional charge. Just don't mistake it for a literal invitation. 13. Excessive complimenting. Listen up, fellas, because now we're stepping into the world of flattery overload. We all know a compliment can make anyone feel good, but when a woman hasn't had her ego stroked in a long time, she turns into a compliment dispenser, gushing about your muscles, your smile, your style, your scent, even the way you tie your damn shoelaces, all with a level of enthusiasm that feels just a little bit elevated. This doesn't mean she's desperate. It means she's craving connection. Psychologically, giving a compliment is often a subtle way to receive one. It's like tossing the emotional ball into your court. Tell me something nice back. So how do you respond? Accept her compliments graciously and respond with sincerity. Don't let it go to your head. Don't mirror her just to impress her. Don't overplay your hand. Give her a compliment that's meaningful, something specific, something authentic, something that acknowledges her value beyond appearances. Because the right compliment, it can hit deeper than she'll ever admit. 14. Increased social media activity on dating and relationships. All right, guys, it's time to talk about the wonderful, chaotic, emotionally charged world of social media. We all know platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter can be outlets for expression. But when a woman hasn't had her romantic needs met in a while, her feed becomes a psychological billboard. If you've noticed, she's posting more quotes about love, sharing memes about dating, reposting spicy relationship advice, dropping subtle hints about her loneliness, suddenly updating her selfies with just a little more effort, it might be a sign she's got romance on the brain. She might share articles about finding a soulmate, Post jokes about being single too long. Or throw out cryptic captions that feel like they're aimed at someone, even if you can't tell who. But here's the deeper psychological layer. When someone feels emotionally dry, they seek connection wherever they can find it. And social media provides an easy form of validation. Likes, comments, attention, engagement. These little digital hits act as temporary emotional boosters. But before you sprint into her DMs like a knight in shining armor, slow your roll. Just because she's more vocal online doesn't mean she wants you to slide into her messages with unsolicited advice or romantic offers. So how do you handle this? Engage thoughtfully, without overanalyzing. Like the posts. Drop a supportive comment if it feels natural. Share something relatable back. But don't treat her Instagram story like a coded cry for help. Support her. Don't smother her. Remember, social media is an outlet, not a guarantee of what she wants in real life. 15. More aggressive in pursuing dates. Listen up, because this one hits deep in the realm of romantic pursuit. We all know making the first move can be intimidating, especially in today's messy dating world. But when a woman hasn't had her romantic needs met in a long time, she becomes bold, focused, strategic. If you've noticed, she's making the first move, asking guys out, pushing for plans, following up more than she normally would, showing zero hesitation about showing interest. It might be a sign she's tired of waiting for romance to magically appear. The psychology here is powerful. When someone goes without affection long enough, they stop waiting, they start doing. This isn't desperation, it's self-activation. She's taking charge of her happiness, owning her desires, breaking the silence of loneliness. But here's where you need to be careful. Don't get lazy. Don't sit back and let her do all the work. Don't assume her forwardness means she wants a one-sided relationship. She wants effort. She wants reciprocation. She wants someone who matches her energy. So, how do you respond? Step up, match her initiative, show interest without being passive. Because nothing kills attraction faster than a man who thinks her courage gives him permission to relax. Sit on physical self-improvement efforts. All right, time to talk about the power of self-improvement. We all know taking care of ourselves, physically and mentally, is important. But when a woman hasn't had her romantic needs met in a while, she often goes on a quiet mission to glow up. If you've noticed, she's going to the gym more, eating cleaner, experimenting with makeup, revamping her wardrobe, updating her style, taking more selfies than usual, it might be her way of rebuilding her confidence. This isn't about impressing men. This is about reclaiming herself. Psychologically, when intimacy fades, self-worth sometimes dims with it. And when she starts working on her appearance, she's not just improving her physical image, she's recharging her emotional identity. She wants to feel beautiful again, powerful again, desired again. But here's what you should never do: critique, compare, control. Just because she's stepping up her physical game doesn't mean she wants you policing her efforts or turning everything into a sexual moment. So how do you support her? Be her cheerleader, not her critic. If she shows you her progress, hype her up. If she flaunts a new look, celebrate it. If she's proud of her effort, let her shine. And above all, remind her she was valuable before the glow-up, and she's valuable during the glow-up, and she'll be valuable after it. 17. Spending more time discussing past relationships. Listen up, because we're about to explore the world of relationship retrospectives, the emotional archaeology of her past. Our previous experiences shape the way we approach love, trust, and intimacy. But when a woman hasn't had her romantic needs met in a long while, she becomes a relationship historian. If you've noticed, she's been talking more than usual about her exes, old flames, heartbreaks, and almost relationships. It might be a sign she's trying to make sense of her emotional drought. She might start revisiting old memories, analyzing what went wrong, comparing past partners to present ones, questioning her choices, asking for your perspective on her relationship patterns. But here's the deeper psychology. When someone lacks present intimacy, the mind drifts back to the last time they felt something, even if the memory hurts. Talking about past relationships isn't nostalgia, it's emotional recalibration. She's trying to understand herself, her patterns, her needs, her desires. But before you start playing Dr. Phil, pump the brakes. Just because she's opening up doesn't mean she wants a full therapy session. She's not asking you to fix her or compare trauma. So how do you handle it? Listen actively, without judging, comparing, or moralizing. Let her express weakness without exploiting it. Let her vent without offering solutions she didn't ask for. Let her process without pulling her deeper into the past. And if things feel too heavy, gently guide the conversation back to the present and future. A reminder that the past explains her, but does not define her. 18. Seeking physical comfort. All right, it's time to talk about the power of physical comfort. Not sexual, but human. We all know physical touch creates connection, safety, and emotional grounding. But when a woman hasn't had her physical needs met for a long time, she becomes a quiet seeker of warmth. If you've noticed, she's initiating more. Random hugs, leaning on you during a movie, sitting close enough that your shoulders brush, resting her head near you, playfully nudging you, or simply staying physically near whenever you're alone. It might be a sign she's craving the simple reassurance of human contact. Not lust, not seduction, just closeness. Here's the psychological heart of it. Humans are wired for touch. Without it, anxiety rises, confidence drops, and emotional tension builds. But, and this is where many men misunderstand, just because she's seeking physical comfort doesn't mean she wants to jump into bed with you. She might simply want a safe hug, a warm presence, a grounding moment, a reminder she's not alone. So how do you respond? Be open, be gentle, respect her boundaries. If she hugs you, hug back, but don't escalate. If she cuddles, let her rest, but don't assume more. If she leans into you, hold the space, not her body. Let her set the pace. Let her feel safe. Let the connection be whatever she needs it to be. Because sometimes, the most intimate thing you can do is not sexual. It's simply being there. And there you have it. The many subtle and not so subtle signs that a woman in your life might be going through a sexual dry spell. But here's the real question. What do you do with this information? You don't judge her, you don't rush her, you don't objectify her, and you definitely don't assume she needs saving. Instead, you understand her. You see her. You listen to her. You respect her boundaries. And if the connection naturally pulls you closer, you move forward together. Because at the end of the day, these signs aren't about sex. They're about longing, connection, validation, confidence, human touch, emotional vulnerability. Signs that she's craving something deeper than just the physical. So what's next for you? Discover the signs she finds you attractive. Or learn what 99% of men never realize women look for. My name is Amelia, and this is Dark Psychology, where we expose the hidden motives, desires, and emotions people don't say out loud. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more mind-bending human behavior insights. Thanks for watching. And remember, people's actions whisper the truth long before their words ever do.